Hey everyone, Gavin here from Easy Rides. Today I'm super excited to talk to you about electric dirt bikes. These things have been an insane contribution to the sport. I definitely have a soft spot for electric bikes and what they've done for the sport. I used to ride motocross, I used to race recreationally. I can tell you guys in this video kind of how they compare to gas bikes, the pros and cons between gas and electric, and then we'll talk about how each of these bikes stack up against each other. Now today we're looking at the Caofen F80 and the Talaria MX4. These bikes are very different, but they definitely both have a lot of pros. Now, first things first, as a whole, electric dirt bikes are amazing. They're a totally different game, and when people try and compare them to gas, it's a tough thing to do. Um, Now, the reason I say that is these are extremely low maintenance. If you're racing a KTM or YZ125 two-stroke bike or even a four-stroke race bike, you're rebuilding the top end all the time. You're throwing clutches at it. You're mixing gas. You're bringing jerry cans with you everywhere. It's a little bit ridiculous when you look at these. The maintenance on these, I'll tell you what, you'll never adjust a valve. Pretty much all you're doing with an electric bike is maybe a chain adjustment. If you ever, which I've never seen a motor go bad on one of these, if you ever chew through a motor, it's, an hour. You've dropped the motor, you got a new one in, you got no problems. Um, the rest comes down to care. These are as reliable as the owners are, and when you're taking care of it and you maintain it and you're conscious of how you put them away, how you store them, the conditions that you ride in, and the levels of abuse that you put them through, that's where you're going to see the biggest differences in longevity. So first things first, cutting right to it and looking at these bikes directly. Now, the Caofen has been super popular. Emo brought it in this year in partnership with Caofen, which is a brand that's been pre-existing in the United States. It's fresh in Canada. You can see the MO graphics on the side. They're just on top of there. And then you got your F80 graphics there. A Caofen logo is embossed in the seat. You'll see that a little better in a minute. Now, these come in three colors, camo, gray, and black. So you got a couple options. The camo is something different. There's street versions with street tires, and then there's also a cross-country version as well. Now the cross-country version has a 48 volt battery versus this 48 amp battery versus this 30 amp battery. So that's kind of where you see the difference. Now, this is a 7230 battery with an 8 kilowatt or 8,000 watt motor. So this thing's got a ridiculously big motor. Compared to the MX4, which is a 60 volt, 45 amp battery. So there's a bit of a give and a take, higher amp hour, lower voltage, and it also has a 4,000 watt motor. So 8,000, 4,000, 72, and 60 volt. So 72 volt, 60 volt. So there are definitely easy to compare differences between these two. Now, where does that come into play? Um, the reality is the MX4 is excellent for street riding, light trail. You might compare this to a TTR 125, a CRF 125. They're a little bit more downplayed. It's great for an entry-level rider. If you want to do street riding with it, throw some slicks on it, street tires, you're going to have great luck with it. They're extremely comfortable. They're easy to straddle. They're light. There's a lot of pros with these bikes. See, it's a small bike. The battery's also removable in the MX4, so I'll show you exactly how that works in a minute. But this has a key ignition, and you pop it in the keyhole to open this sucker up right here. Pop the top. Right here, you got your battery that removes. You got your breaker. You flick your breaker off. You pop your power off. And then if anybody has any trouble loading, because that happens, especially with a big sport bike or a big MX bike, there's a lot of weight behind those suckers, especially when they're all muddy, you're trying to get them on the back of your pickup truck or whatever. It definitely makes a difference. So when you don't have a battery in it, your ability to move it totally changes. So I'm able to throw it around without a battery, no problem. So removable battery is big on the MX4. The other thing to note is the brake reservoirs. on these, obviously both of these bikes have hydraulic brakes. It's a lot smaller. You're looking more closely to an electric bicycle than you are a full-size motocross bike. Now, the biggest difference that I noticed on the MX4 versus the Caofen is the rear tire. So, with the rear tire on this, it's a lot skinnier. You're looking more like a light trail bike tire. It's even closer to a large e-bicycle tire. It's good. It's aggressive. You can get power down. But when you look at the Caofen tire, this is a dirt bike tire. It's wide. It's thick. It's chunky. You can pull up dirt with it. Like, you can really put the power down, because you can have all the power in the world. If you can't put it down, there's no use. So the biggest difference was between these two bikes is the rear tire. The rear tire on the Caofen is sick. It's what we're all about. That's what you want if you're ripping the track. And this thing can do some light track riding. It's not an MX bike in the sense where you're really going to be competing in the same way, unless the track is designed for it. So the rear tire is sweet. The MX4, the tire is amazing. They're just different, and it's how you use it. So for street and trials, trails, MX4 is where it's at. If you want to do a little bit of light track riding, the Caofen's it. It's not great, in my opinion, as great as MX4 for street, but that's just the give and the take. So it really depends on what you want. Now this bike, again, super comfortable. It's a unibody frame. So when I sit on it, it's very comfortable, very similar ride height. Put my mic up here, I'll show you. Like, this is a nice kind of bike to get on, enjoy. It's not a key ignition. It has these two little fobs and an ignition button right here. You charge it here. The battery, again, is not removable. It's a pro and a con for a lot of people. The Caofen, we've seen a lot less aftermarket modification with. The MX4, it's everywhere. Like, you can change every nut and bolt on that bike and really make it yours. And that's why it's difficult to compare these bikes. This, out of the box, you have the opportunities to ride in the places that I was talking about earlier. The MX4, it takes time to grow it to be your bike, and you can use it out of the box, really love it and enjoy it. And they're, again, both amazing bikes. It's just the long-term game with both of them is very different. The Caofen comes with front signals from factory. They both come with headlights. The headlights are similar, the bright LEDs. This one's got adjustable shocks as well. The MX4 comes with 3 shock options, and that's where you kind of get into your variables when ordering. But these bikes are amazing. These are the brake reservoirs on this bike. If you focus on that a little bit and pay attention, it's definitely a big difference. These bikes are both gorgeous. They're just, and have a little bit of different intention to them. The rear shock on this one is huge. It's beefy. It can absorb a lot. The weight on this is still good. It's just, there are definitely pros and cons to the removable battery. It's a lot more difficult to upgrade the battery if that's what you want to get into. But we're a huge fan of both these bikes. There's really not one's better than the other. They're just slightly different, and it's important to know what you're looking for and how you plan on using it. One last thing to note is the MX4, it used to come in a couple different colors, and they used to come with the graphic kits off. I'm making this video late June 2024. Now this blue is all you get. There used to be a great gray, a red, and a few other colors, like a ghost green. It was really cool. Now they just come with blue, and they used to send the graphics on the side. Now they're fully installed. Where this, as I said, has a green camo, it has the gray and the black. So the variability is, you get a little bit of variety with this. It's the you get what you get and you don't get upset policy. But they're both epic bikes. Yeah, it's hard to choose one because they're both amazing. They're both a ridiculous amount of fun to ride, and I'll show you a quick clip of me just accelerating down the road with them, just to see, them in action. But if you guys are thinking about getting one, they're both amazing. There's no noise pollution. You can ride a lot of different places. You can't ride with an MX bike. Extremely low maintenance. The power is different than anything you've ever seen. It's great for getting on a bike, getting comfortable on 2 wheels at that speed. The torque's a totally different thing. These things are rad to ride, and they're light as heck. Like, these things are, it's totally different than handling a full-size gas bike. This is it. This is what it's all coming down to. And You know, you can't do that hardcore competitive track riding, but it's all there, and these things are a ton of fun. So suggest you check them out. Come by, give us a call, stop in at one of our 4 locations. You know, if you're watching this in the future, we'll probably have a lot more locations, but we're super excited about all our products, and we hope to see you soon. We'd love to chat about what works best for you. Okay, guys, so right now I'm on the Caofen F80, as you can see. Now the bike, super accessible. We got our adjustable forks right here, super easy access. Of course, I got a helmet on. There's a small to moderate chance over the next 5 years my mom could watch this video, and I want to make sure I got all my bases covered. Now on the handles, we got our neutral drive switch, so that's when you start it. So first press that, hit the keys, and then hit the neutral drive. And then these are your sport modes or your gear shift modes. So I got 1, I'll show you guys it on 3, 1, 2, 3, your power settings. And then this is an eco mode. A recycling emblem comes up, which I guess is also an eco mode. These are your signals, your headlight. I have the headlight on just to have it on. It's your horn, and then your signal. So I'll bump it up to speed setting 3. I'm gonna give it some gas. It'll definitely pick up the front end. So I'll show you an acceleration on speed setting 3, and then I'll show you one from 0 on speed setting 1, just to show you kind of how it handles differently. So I'll start on 3 quick, and then I'll come back around and do 1 on 1. Okay, so that was speed setting 3. I'm gonna bump it down to 1 now. It'll be a little bit different. We'll see kind of how it feels on 1 versus 3. It's definitely a big difference. This thing's got a ton of power. Last thing I wanted to mention is top speed. So both of these companies claim they have about an 85 kilometer top speed. Possible, like I just did about 67-ish on this. The MX4 I've done about 77, but that's what online everybody says about 85 for both. 83 for the MX4, 85 for the Caofen. It's important to note. So let's try out the MX4 next. All right, guys, so next we're taking a look at the Talaria MX4. Again, the key is nice. You're just twisting the key, starting it up. You take it off weight mode, hit start here, and then you got your sport and your eco mode. It's dumb simple. The key is nice. You know, we've never seen anybody damage a key. I have seen people convert them to a push button start, just going back quickly to that customization factor. The Caofen was rad. It was super fun to ride. So we'll take a look at the takeoff on this bike, see what you guys think, and then you guys can make a decision from there. So I'm just gonna line up here and we'll see how she does. Okay, so that was pretty sweet. Like the front wheel's totally picking up. I've seen a couple guys bail right away with a little bit less experience riding these on sport mode. Now I came back on eco mode and I'll show you guys again what that looks like. Eco mode is a lot more tame. That's what you're gonna be riding on every day. Sport is when you really wanna let loose and put some power down. And that's when it really changes for this bike. So the polarity of the speeds is way different. It's a lot more of a gradual increase with the Caofen. This is a lot more conservative, a lot more reasonable. So I'll show you folks what it looks like taken off with the MX4, and the difference is drastic. So I'll wait for this car to go by and then I'll take off, but it's really not taking off. It's just starting the bike, it's chill, it's nice to have that option. And for daily street riding, it's super appropriate, but it's nice to unleash and have that sport mode option. So let's take a look at this. And that's it. Sport mode is super tame. It's super easy to learn on, but the tech modes or electronic gears are way different between these two bikes, and it's definitely something that should be considered when you make a decision. But there's good variety on both, and both of these bikes are totally rad. My heart's racing from this and the Caofen. They're a ton of fun, and really, guys, if you've been thinking about it, pull the trigger. These things are unreal.